So what is Montage? I'll tell you what Montage is. Montage is the replacement to the Motif XF. So it kind of begins where we left off with XF. XF was designed, was a music workstation, but the synth engine was based on AWM2, which is our proprietary way that we take a whole lot of sample data and make it smaller without losing anything. So lossless compression is what we use. So with the Motif, when we released the Motif, the first one, and we followed up, we would double the waveform each time. Double the wave, double. Okay, now with Montage, we've almost 10 times increased the waveform. So there's way more content here, and it's kind of brought to bear, especially on the new pianos. The CFX in here, every single note was sampled at multiple velocity levels, and the low level of the piano is so gorgeous and so easy to play. So lots of new content. We also doubled the polyphony of that engine. It's 128 note stereo polyphony, not mono polyphony. So a lot of people don't know that when you play a single note in stereo, it is 2 notes of polyphony. So it really does effectively double the polyphony on that side, on the engine. As far as the DSP goes, we doubled the DSP resource availability. It was 8 parts in a 16-part multi-timbral configuration. Now all 16 parts can have their insertion effects brought in to your music. So over on the other synth engine, it's FMX. It's a newest version of our 8-operator, 88 algorithm FM engine that also has things like, it's not just sine waves in the operators that are available, you can have multiple waveform choices. And there's a lot of other just content here that they developed for Montage. As far as compatibility, before I go away from that, it loads all the Motif XS and XF voices. You can load them in there, and that content's in here anyway, the wave data, in addition to the extra 9 times. And then we'll have a DX-TX converter coming later in the year that converts the certain DX-TX things. So you can take, the DX7 was 12-bit mono, 6-operator, right? Imagine taking those voices and putting them into this engine. The sound quality goes from here to way, way better. So now, in between the 2 engines, there's this sophisticated dynamic control interface that we call motion control. Motion control allows me to assign 16 individual parameters to any of these knobs, and when I turn them, they turn all at the same time. Now, the direction that these can move, one can go this way, one can go that way, so there's different curves that you can bring in. A curve can be a sigmoid curve, a curve can be like a dogleg curve, so you can do a whole lot. The amount of things that you can assign to those parameters is quite large. So it's an endless, fairly endless availability of all these controls. Sorry, I get disconnected from a boom. So, what does Montage sound like? Well, I like to start with this one. This is called Turn It On. It's just kind of a cool, it starts out with a sort of very, kind of a thin. But listen to this. This is what you can do with motion control. I always like to start with, because that just says everything I need to say about the audio fidelity of this stuff. So what you hear there, you heard one synthesizer sound, and listen to things that are happening with motion control. There's another thing that's brought in with that and then you'll hear the low frequency kind of push right there. But then you hear this pitch moving. All the while there's something else going on. So there's several different parameters that are being moved. And actually, if you watch right there, I have this MIDI together so you can see it doing its thing. Now in that case, all things are moving together, but sometimes it'll go this way against this way and do some other stuff. So, I'll talk about some of the wave content that we added. Quite possibly the best acoustic piano we've ever put in an electronic musical instrument is in Montage with this new CFX. It's been sampled at multiple velocity levels, every single note. And the thing that's really striking to me about this piano, which is hard to hear in here because it's so loud, but how quiet I can play and still get the piano to speak. It's one of the things I love about the real CFX. Is that the real CFX, I'm always amazed how quiet I can get that 9-foot concert grand to play. But then I also know that if I need to, it can, CFX can blast over a symphony orchestra at triple fortissimo and be heard acoustically. It's a very dynamic piano though. So with this, thing is that the sustain of the piano goes on like a minute easy, where in the previous motif it died out pretty quickly, but with this one it really sustains like the real thing and so much more. Now what does motion control do with this? I can blend in an FM piano, so kind of a simple way to use it, but one of the many ways that you can use motion control in a real situation. So if you hear this, now you notice I'm moving the knob. I'm moving the knob because I have an FC7 connected to it. So we can still utilize motion control without actually pulling my hands off the keyboard. So if I want to play, I'm all good. I can move it this way. So that's the CFX with an FM piano. Next one I'll play, we're going to give away the Imperial Grand from the Bösendorfer Imperial Grand data for free for the first year. It loads into the flash memory. So as far as flash memory goes, there's 1.75 gigabytes available of user flash memory for you to load new sample data. And this is one of the things you can load. And by the way, if you remember the Motif XF, the Chick Corea Road is a good example. It's about 440 megabytes. It took about 20 minutes to load that into the XF flash memory. So if somebody wanted to load it, I'd tell them to go get a cup of coffee and come back. With this, it's 10 times faster. It took 2 minutes to load it. So the load time of the flash memory is much faster and it makes it a lot more flexible. So here's the Bösendorfer. First I'll compare it with the CFX, just with the low end. And you can hear the really big differences in the low end of these two pianos. CFX. Here's the Imperial Grand. Yeah, it's a different sounding piano, more resonant, kind of more woody. Totally amazing piano though. Here's the CFX again. CFX kind of has a more focused sound to it. The stereo spread on the Imperial Grand is a little wider to me. So, two awesome pianos available to you with Montage. Which one's better? I don't know. Whichever one is good for you. So let's talk about how we use motion control in more sort of like realistic sounds, strings and choirs and stuff. So this one, the first one I played is called Seattle Sections. Seattle Sections starts out with, we did a big sampling session with the Seattle Symphony. So it starts out with a nice string section. Motion control, I can seamlessly move to a smaller ensemble. And I can move back to the section. So I can move slowly, or I can go maybe. So really nice content. Here's another one, orchestral brass swell, where I can do a swell of an orchestral brass, but start with a small ensemble and then add more horns. So it doesn't just get louder, and we don't use filtering to make it brighter. It actually adds more instruments and gets louder. So it starts out very subtle. Big. Next one is choir, strings, and pipe organ, where it starts out some of the new choir content in here. So I can add. The top one is the pipe organ. Dynamic, moving things in and out and adding these stuff. So let's talk about the FM engine real quick. Here's a one that's called FM Linear Synth, and this is really cool. This shows yet another way that motion codes can be used in more of kind of an interpolation way. This will morph between one very cacophonous kind of bell sound. Right? Listen to this morph. like almost like if you could hear what Mercury would sound like, not the planet, but the element. Very, very, very cool sound. I'll play another sound actually, just to give you an idea of the FM. A lot of people forget how cool FM can be. Salo was playing a guitar sound the other day, this jazz guitar sound. I was just digging it. It's kind of the Pappy theme. Super dynamic too. The super knob in this case just brings up the effect. That's a pure FM voice, and it's just one part. I have 8 parts available, 1 part playing that FM voice. So to get an idea how good FM really sounds and how dynamic it is, there's a great example of that. Now let's talk about, for people that are kind of into EDM music, how do you use montage and motion control to kind of do that style of music. So there's one that I have in here called DJ Montage, and with this one there's arpeggios going, playing the drum grooves and arps and stuff. There's over 10,000 arps inside of Montage, and in this case I have the scenes in here, and when I select scenes it'll add different things. It'll bring in different arps, it'll add the drums and so on. But listen to how motion control can sweep things, how I can turn things off, I can go really fast, or you'll just listen. So you can pull things out real fast, or just sneak it in. So moving to another scene, I have a whole other groove going here. So check this out. This is pretty cool. I can also mute tracks in real time, so I'm in here and I say like, I also have these assignable switches over here, which can change the arc. So I haven't even touched motion control really yet. Now I will though. So what's this going to do? I have something kind of that's set up right here. So you get an idea of how you can do it in sort of an EDM sort of a setting as well. So before I kind of play any more stuff, let me talk about the user interface. The user interface has been greatly streamlined. After using both the Motif and Montage, I really see the benefit of how they've reconfigured things. Now, for people that are familiar with the Motif, there's things that are similar. For example, we still have the 8 knobs and 8 sliders, but we've improved them greatly because the knobs now have these LEDs around them that if I move a knob in any position, I go to another parameter and move that, they're still in the same position, exactly where I wanted them to be, without any catch or latch points to grab. They're always where you want them to be. We also have stepladder LEDs that are next to the fader, which is new. So on a stage, you can always see where your mix position is when it's dark. Now obviously we have this touch screen and then we have all these buttons over here. The cool thing about Montage is there's sort of this convenient redundancy of how I move around. If I want to do category search, I can category search from a button, but if I'm in my live set, there's also a category search right here. So it ends up being wherever my hand is and what's ever more convenient to find voices, or performances rather. Performances. There's only one mode in Montage as well. With the Motif XF, we had a voice mode, performance mode, master mode, song mode, pattern mode, associated mix mode, and as we went out and did market research, we started really figuring out a lot of stuff. A lot of times I know customers who have bought a Motif XF, have had it for years, and have never been out of the performance mode. And I ask them, why? Have you ever checked out this? Why would I do that? I love what it is here. I love just these sounds. So I don't really want to make them use it the way that I want them to use it. It's kind of like an iPhone, I don't have every app. I have apps that are relevant to me on my iPhone, right? So We thought about that, and we decided to kind of streamline things a bit and just make a single mode called performance mode. And inside of performances lie all these parts. There's up to 8 playable parts. It could be a single part, which is just like one part, or it could be different sounds that are on the part, but only one mode. Another thing you'll notice is there's no real song mode. Montage is technically not a workstation. What have we watched the workstation market do? The workstation market has been kind of going this way, while the synthesizer market seems to be going this way. So we recognize that. We do have a little sequencer on board, but it's kind of a sketchpad sequencer. It's really just designed to record itself very effectively. But when you want to go to the DAW, well, what happens then when I want to do my sequencing on a computer? We have a built-in audio and MIDI interface that sends 16 stereo channels to the DAW and returns 3 back. So the 16 stereo channels that it sends out are one channel, or one audio stereo channel per part in a multi-channel sequence. So everything can be recorded directly into the DAW. And if I wanted to go like to 96 kilohertz or even up to 192, I get 4 stereo outs, but I still get multiple outputs. The other thing you notice, we don't have a remote control service on the front. We decided that, you know, it might be better to not include that. Why is that? Because if you're a Cubase user with a motif, you're good. It works great with Cubase. What if I'm a Pro Tools user? Well, it's a little bit more of a kludge to set up the remote control. It can be done. But then we started seeing if anybody was really using that much, and it turns out they weren't. In fact, your iPhone can work as a remote control service and there's tons of services. So rather than do that, why don't we make it software agnostic, where it'll just work with any software because it's just the audio MIDI connectivity. So if you like Pro Tools, fine. If you like Live, fine. If you like Cubase, awesome. If you like Logic, fine. It will work with everything. It also even works with iOS. So we'll be able to have iOS compatibility to do some stuff as well, to record audio and so on. Let's see. I will play a few more sounds in here and some other ways to use Montage. We have these ones that are called gallery voices, or gallery performances, sorry. The gallery performance, in this case, each part is a different version of the Rhodes piano. And there's some great new content that we added that are Rhodes pianos that I could just get to right here. So I have like a Mark 1, a Mark 2, a Suitcase 73. I also have all the knocks of the Rhodes, all the mechanical noise. So I can bring that in as well. But here's the Mark 1. So if I want to make it a little bit more funky, these assignable buttons do something that you'd expect with a Rhodes, like maybe turn on a phaser or a chorus. So that's the Mark 1. Here's another one here. Different Rhodes piano entirely. It kind of gives you a way to sort of find the right electric piano for your music. Because you remember, the Rhodes really developed over time. It started out with felt hammers, moved to neoprene hammers, times changed, preamps definitely changed, the cabinets changed. So as it moved forward, things changed on how it sounded. So this one sounds entirely different than this one. Way different. Here's the Suitcase 73. Mark 5. So now, check this out. Something that we've always heard from lots of people is if I'm in here and I'm playing this sound here, right? And I want to switch to another sound. Seamless sound switching. So I can move between sounds without cutting off the previous sound. That was definitely requested. It's a great thing if you have something like a string sound. So being able to move from sound to sound without cutting off, that's another bonus of having a single mode now. So, once again, Montage, 2 synth engines, dynamic control interface, audio output, a USB digital connectivity computer, lots of new waveform, a great new FM engine, literally 3 times the polyphony if you look at it that way. 128 voice polyphony, 128 stereo polyphony. Lots of effects. That's Montage. So, if you have any questions, you can ask me, because that's what I'm here for. So. Oh, what's that? synth actions. This one's fully weighted. Yeah, 6, 7, 8.